At Five Flags Speedway. We had a lot of Canadians that were in the field. One of them did real good. The other ones did not bad at all. And we'll get to all of that. Junior, quite a weekend at Pensacola.
It was. Every year it just seems to ramp up and get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Hats off to Derek Thorne, Snowball Derby champ. Finally.
Yep.
He's, I said it during the broadcast today, deserving.
Yeah.
He has deserved to win that race, no better time to do it than the last event with the Campbell team that he's been with for a long period of time now. Big event. And, hats off to everybody at Five Flags. Man, they got to be wore out after that.
Oh, man, you got to think. That's just like Speed Weeks, only on steroids. I know Speed Weeks is 9 nights of racing, but this year was just something else at Five Flags Speedway. We'll talk lots about it throughout the course of the night. Let me tell you who we got coming on the show tonight. Big news out on the east coast of Canada. Out in the Maritimes, got brand new Super Late Model Series. And if you can't remember the name of this one, well, it's called Super Late Model Series. So we got Brent Roy going to come on with us from Speedway 660, and we're going to talk to Brent about the new series. A lot of excitement surrounding this baby. So Brent is going to be up first. We'll talk with Mike Garrow from Rev TV Canada. Yeah, Mike Garrow's going to join the show tonight. Get you sort of up to date on everything that's happening on the channel. Some stuff to look forward to. There's even some contesting coming up. We will get to all of that when we get Mike Garrow on the hotline. Gary Elliott from out on Canada's East Coast, Canada's Iron Man, is going to join us tonight. Looking forward to catching up with Gary Elliott tonight. And we will talk to Lebert from Avion Motorsports. He is going to be in the Avion Motorsports shop. Tonight is all video. We're going to try and get everything done video-wise. And I can tell you we're batting 1,000 right off the bat because our first guest is up on the hotline, and he's also video-wise with us. You can join us at our YouTube channel, RaceTimeRadioTV. You can do that at YouTube if you like, or stay right here on SiriusXM. But if you want to look in, you can do that. But welcome aboard there, Brett. How you doing today?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Doing awesome. Had a pretty phenomenal weekend watching everything going on in Pensacola. And, man, those guys put on quite a show. And, really kind of excited to see Derek Thorne get the win there.
Yeah, me too. Bad time for Cole Butcher to have a second-place restart. That outside lane was treacherous today.
Yeah, for sure. It seemed like, as opposed to some recent years, there was some grip out there in the last couple of years, but this year just was nothing there. So if you were on the top, you weren't going anywhere.
No, not at all. Quite a show there, Junior.
I think the treacherous part was just being beside the 43. Man, that thing was fast. It was like John Force, getting on the throttle, and man, it's you think back to times where you have seen a perfect race car, on the racetrack.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 that really stand out to me where I've seen the perfect race car, and one of them is Jonathan Erlin at Snowball Speedway for the Beat the Heat 150. The thing never slipped a wheel. Nobody could get near it. It led wire to wire. Just an incredible race car. Just one of those nights, right?
Mm.
The second one is Martin Truex at the Coca-Cola 600. He led wire to wire with that 78 car.
Yeah.
And now I have to put the 43 from the Snowball Derby this year. I know he had a good car the year before. I know he had a good car the year prior to that. But obviously didn't come home with the checkered flag, didn't lead it wire to wire. This one here, that thing was perfect. And, there's something to be said about that when you do get to witness it. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that no-hitter when you watch, baseball. It's kind of like that shutout when you watch hockey. there's something very special about moments like that. So definitely everybody that tuned in got to watch something that was it probably won't be done again in the modern era.
I got one more to add to that list, and I witnessed it for myself. Cassius Clark at the IWK 250 the one year. He was denied the year before he came back, and I'll tell you what, he had one thing on his mind, revenge. And he went out there, led everything that he did, including practice on Thursday. Cassius Clark, not to be denied that day. A lot like Derek Thorne today. It was pretty wild.
There's people that are watching right now, or tuned in, that would say that J.R. Fitzpatrick had a car like that at Peterborough. Mm-hmm. But I put it in a little bit of a different realm, just because it was up against like multiple different classes and things like that. I mean, when everybody that is there is at the top of their game, like the Cassius Clark one, like the Beat the Heat 150 back in the day. And then of course in the Cup Series and the Derby and stuff like that. But man, just an incredible feat, and hats off to them, bringing home over $50,000. You can't complain about that.
Yeah, big and
it's definitely pretty cool. But Brett, this everything that's coming down the pipe. Lots of news, lots of moving and shaking out there in the Maritimes. I can't wait to hear all about it tonight.
Yeah, man. It's something that me and myself, Wayne as well, Smith from Petty International Raceway, Robbie McLean and Chris Fournier over in Oyster Bed and PEI. Me and Wayne started talking a little bit ago about it, and then we decided to really involve the guys at PEI as well, because there's a lot of cars in PEI that could potentially do it. And then we kind of had a meeting and said, all right, we either go this way or we go this way.
Right.
Whether we do it or we don't. And we just decided, you know what, let's strike the match and let's see what happens. And we had a meeting with some of the teams that could make it, and we committed that one day with over a dozen registrations, and we're approaching close to 20 now. So, there's a lot of guys a lot of teams on top of that are maybe haven't given us the cash to register for the series, which is it's only $500, but still it's notification of intent to run all 6 races, which is the biggest thing for a series.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another that many guys again that haven't taken that exact step, but said we're going to be there in a capacity probably 100%, if not 90%.
Right.
So it's a really big deal to us. It's a really big deal for the community out here. When you look at the numbers of race cars, there's over 20 pro stock super late model cars in New Brunswick, and another almost 20 again in PEI alone.
Mm-hmm. And
then there's another 20, maybe 30 of them in Nova Scotia. So the cars are there. The guys want to race. Sometimes they can't compete with a really large schedule. Sometimes they want to draw back schedule a little bit. We put a 6-pack of races over the course of 4 or 5 months between May and the end of September.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very feasible. Even if you go out and wad it in the wall on race number 1, you got a lot of time to fix it to come back for race number 2.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And there's a lot to be said about that. Brent, did not having a Pro Stock Tour race play into having discussions like this? Because I know back in the day before we started broadcasting, 660 was always on the Pro Stock Tour schedule, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. And I know I kept saying, hey, that's another market. How come? Yeah. Why? Why did it go away?
Well, I can't really answer that. That's, you'd have to ask those guys that one.
Right.
We've always had that door open for them to come back if they wanted to come back, and the door was open always from day one. So as far as that side of it goes, did that play a role in this? No, not really. Because, as a track myself, and as a track for Wayne, and then as a track for Robbie,
right,
you got to look after, your own house a little bit to make sure that you're doing the best thing for your fans.
Yep.
And sometimes, having those one-off races do well. However, if you can take those one-off races, link it up with another one-off race, and then another one-off race, and make it a series. We purposely named it a series, not a tour, because it's not really a tour, so to speak.
Right.
It's not run by an organization that comes into the facility. It's run by the facility, with a couple exceptions that myself, I'm the race director at Speedway 660. I'm going to be going to each and every one of these super late model races and race directing every one of those.
Yeah, and
So
a good plan to do that. You need a constant, I don't know, direction, if you will, for the teams.
Exactly. They need to know when they show up on race day what to expect.
Yep.
And having that same person on the headset calling the shots the same way every time goes a long ways. Same thing in the tech shed. We'll have our own guy that way. But as far as anything above that, the racetracks all have their own pace cars, flagmen, and all that type of stuff. So,
right.
That's why we kind of went with the word series, because it's not really a tour; it's a series.
Series,
and,
that's fair.
The reason we went with super late models is because it's a little different. It's fun, but it's also broadened up the rules package. So that's a question I've been getting a lot, that, are these actually super late models that, we have a couple of motors that are going to be kind of in that category of super late model.
Right.
Will the majority of people be running crate motors? Yeah, probably, but they're also allowed. And we wanted to have a really wide rules package that allows anybody to come in and compete fairly with the next person.
Yep.
So that it's as inclusive as possible.
Yeah, and that's the way to do it, right? You want to try and open that net up, capture as many as possible. I haven't seen
100%.
the Pro Stock Tour schedule yet. I don't believe it's out. If it is, I haven't seen it. I've seen your schedule. Do you think there's going to be overlapping dates, or by you guys coming out now, it really lends it the opportunity to make sure the two don't conflict? Was that the thought process of bringing it out so quick?
Yeah, so there's a couple different avenues with that thought process, I should say. Is that number one, we look back when myself and Wayne and Robbie and Chris, when we went back and looked at the history of all the calendars, I could go back probably 5 years. I keep a spreadsheet that's like the size of this room long, with all the different schedules and who's doing what and what day, and it just make your head spin. But if you look back in history, we tried to line up as best as we could guess the weeks that are going to be off. So historically, the weeks that we're running have never had a Pro Stock Tour race before.
Perfect.
So we're not trying to compete with them. We're really not.
Right.
We're trying to have a space where if a guy doesn't want to race 10, 12, 13 races in the run of a year,
right,
he can race a series that pays $1,000 to start. So pays for your tires, which is a huge expense with racers nowadays.
Yes, it is.
You can race 150 laps. Everybody's on 4 tires. That's it. So everybody's on the same playing field. We run that Hoosier 1070, which is as hard as the wall behind me. So it doesn't matter if you have 700 horsepower or 300 horsepower. You're going the same speed.
Right.
It goes back to that fair and that wide net to try to catch everybody. There's been a couple events that are already on the schedule that are historically open events anyways.
Okay.
So getting back to that point, Petty always had an open race that's on this schedule now. We always had at 660 an open race that is on this schedule now. So did we move a couple of them around to make it work a little bit better, for all parties? Yeah, we did, but it's still bringing unity to that schedule that you were kind of working by yourself to try to promote. Now all 3 tracks are working together to try to promote all 6 events.
Yeah, and that's perfect, Junior. You get that going, and you got guys coming now, or fans coming from Petty to 660, like they did through the pandemic, I might add. That was brilliant, what you guys put together, that fans could travel between the two within the province, with you guys being in New Brunswick. Hats off to you guys for that. But that's cool. You get the whole bunch sort of pulling on the rope at the same time, promoting each event. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. And when you look at it, just for the fans listening, if you look at late model racing anywhere, there's usually some subtle differences in the rule books, whether it be from track to track or from track to series or tour. When you look at the Maritimes, there's really 2 distinct rule books, right, if you will, of late model racing, and very similar car, so to speak. The nuts and bolts and the chassis of the car are very similar. One is a little bit more open, where they have a better shock. I believe there's a little bit of weight differences, and then as well, I'm not 100% certain, but a different transmission. And when you look at the on the tour side, they have a little bit of a lesser shock, or not. They have a dramatically lesser shock, and more of a sealed motor approach.
Yeah, sealed engine.
There's a lot less power than what an open motor or a built engine can create. So there's differences between the two, but when you look at any type of person with a pro late model style car, really, if you're going to make a trip south of the border, your car is going to be more open anyways, right? You're going to have a McGonigal engine, or you're going to have a Hamner, you're going to have a built engine of some kind. If you're going to go, south of the border and race at all.
And that's where Brett's always shined, right? He
exactly.
has got guys like Johnny Clark that we seen in the Snowflake last night.
Yep.
He's been at 660, and
sure.
A lot of the guys that are south of the border do come up.
The Pass North guys are right there, right on the other side of the border, and there's quite a few tracks that are a hop, skip, and a jump right on the other side of the border that are open, right? They're an open super late model. So hats off to you. It's definitely going to be very interesting. I know there's definitely a lot of excitement, and I can't wait to see how it all transpires. Really, the three different racetracks as well. When you put a point setup between the three different tracks, they're very different racetracks.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of differences between them, and you're gonna have to be good at each of them to walk away with the trophy on this one.
Yeah, not only for the win, but the points. And you will have a points championship, will you?
Absolutely, yeah. So you hit on quite a few points there. So, like, my phone has, I'm going to go replace it because it has not stopped since we released this.
Yeah.
Me and a good friend of mine, Denver, are really working on the social media, the marketing side of things. And we're really trying to bring something that's another aspect of this whole thing that, I feel and we feel kind of as a group and as a team, and there's a couple other people involved in this too, that there's a real try to choose my words carefully. There's a void to be filled with having your drivers feel like they're the stars. And I'm going to be flat out honest. I look to a lot of the stuff that the APC series does. Mm-hmm. They do a lot of things really, really well.
Yep.
Cars Tour does stuff really, really well. There's a lot of components. So it's, another one, Stafford Speedway does things extremely well. So what we're trying to do is, probably on a lesser budget, but shoot for that moon and make every single event's going to be a big deal. Every single event's going to have build up and hype and everything towards it.
Yep.
Whether it's be on social media or YouTube or, going to visit guys at the shop for interviews or whatnot, whatever the case, that's a big component to it. Like I said, my phone hasn't stopped. There's been guys from the States messaging me asking, what's the rules package for this? What's this? How can we get involved? J.R. Fitzpatrick lit us up on Instagram.
Good.
Josh Stoddy did the same thing. We've had interest from all these guys, not only in our backyard, which has been fantastic, but also from Ontario and the States and New Hampshire and Maine, that I'm really good friends with a lot of those guys as well. So, I didn't really predict the reach to be that far. Mm-hmm. Me and Wayne and Robbie really wanted to kind of put together a series that's really going to elevate our track.
Right.
Some things to note that, the Mike Stevens Memorial Race at Petty Raceway is not on the schedule. It stands alone.
Oh, does it? Okay.
Yes.
How about, and your 250?
Speed Weekend.
Your 250?
Right.
Yeah. So that's still
Speedway
standalone.
660 next year in 2023 will be celebrating the 30th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So we're looking to expand Speed Weekend just a tick more Can't release a whole lot of information on that just yet. But
We
I've
can
been
get you
working
back.
really hard in the background on getting some stuff in place. A couple years ago, we went to 3 races instead of 2, or 3 nights instead of 2. This year, we're going to move the Street Stock 100 to Friday night. Saturday, we're going to move the start time up a little bit, and then we're looking to have a bonfire concert Saturday night after that race for the fans to kind of have a party atmosphere before Sunday, which is the big dance, right?
Yeah.
So still working on a lot of things with that, but our super late model race is 2 weeks before that event at our facility. So if it gets to the point where we have a lot of registrations, the winner of that race is going to be getting a provisional to
the
our
big
speed
dance
weekend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Good call.
you know, there's a lot of things that when we had an opportunity to change a schedule around, that we could do that.
Right.
You know, and I imagine that Wayne is probably going to be doing something along the same lines for, you know, the Mike Stevens weekend.
Right.
I know that PEI is working on another event altogether that they might be able to incorporate a little bit as well. So, you know, everything is trending in the right direction here on the East Coast, I should say. It's really going well. We're super excited. We're doing our thing, and it's going to be a hell of a first year, I can tell you that.
I can guarantee it. We are with Brent Roy. He is 660 Speedway and the new Super Late Model Series out on Canada's East Coast. You can follow him on Twitter, SLM Series. Nice and easy. Junior, what do you got over there?
Yeah, I have to ask the question because, you know, and this is not in a negative light at all, but how do you set this up, get the ball rolling, and not overcrowd on the late model side of things? Like how do you weigh that into creating the schedule, creating all those different things? Because if there's too many races, there's not enough population to get to the races themselves. You know what I mean?
Well, they picked open weekends.
No, they picked open weekends, but how can you or what type of thought went into the over scheduling of a division? How much thought went into that specifically? And I only ask the question because when you look at you know, whether it be Ontario, for instance, you have Delaware, you have Flamborough, you have Sunset, you have the APC Series, and you have Peterborough Autumn Colors. Peterborough Autumn Colors used to be huge, but there was only 2 different classes that ran alongside with APC. But now that they added Sunset, you see a smaller, you know, contingent of people at the Autumn Colors, right? And
there's
a
late model race in Ontario
every single weekend.
Every weekend.
Yes,
every
correct.
weekend.
But there's a lot to be said. It's having to catch up now, and there's smaller pockets of cars at certain races.
Let me point at
something.
Just before you ask.
Yeah.
Luke designed, the owner of APC,
yes,
designed a program
absolutely
that if you ran your pro late model at a home track,
yeah,
you were rewarded.
Absolutely.
So I just want to put that out as a preface
absolutely
of too many races.
Yep.
Luke actually pushed the ball to get more races.
Absolutely. No, and I'm only asking, you know, when you look across the border, you know, when you look at the late model stocks, for instance, right?
Right.
The more schedules got added to the late model stocks, the further spread out everything got, and then they had to get together and create a you know, kind of a contingent where they ran less races across North Carolina that were bigger. And I'm not saying that that's the case with this.
Right.
You know,
right.
we don't know. This is just getting off the ground. I just wanted to know
if there was thought
what
behind it.
what the kind of consideration there is to overpopulating, you know, a class within a maritime area.
Yeah, for sure. I think it kind of goes back to, you know, a handful of these events were existing already.
Yep.
Right. So we always had the best of the best 150 at Speedway 660, and when we had that, we used it as a precursor to Speed Weekend. You know, Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
First weekend of September. There, a lot of teams would come and test. You know, in a longer race for the 250.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne has the Petty International in early June.
Yep.
That's going to be one of these races. So there's two. The late final date on September 30th there at Petty Raceway, that's an existing date already.
Gotcha.
The August long weekend date at Oyster Bed was a very strategic pick based on. It's very interesting with the way the provincial calendars line up on that one, because in New Brunswick and in Nova Scotia, that's a long weekend.
Right.
And in PEI, it is not.
Oh.
So your local teams don't have to use the extra day to travel.
Right.
But your away teams can.
Right.
And turn it into a vacation or whatever they want.
Makes a difference.
So that was a strategic choice in that date as well. So, there's a couple little strategic pieces in there, but a lot of it has to do with, us at 660. We run Pro Stock weekly or bi-weekly, we'll call it. If I'm race directing at that series, we're not running at 660 at least that day.
Right.
So that's not going to overcrowd my guys for wanting to run two places at once.
Right.
Obviously, Petty or OBS are not going to be running at least the Pro Stock division on a day where they're somewhere else.
Right.
So our overall calendar didn't really expand a whole lot, other than maybe one or two. And those one or two just went from a normal show to 150 laps.
Yeah, that's cool.
Those teams are already buying tires. They're already getting there. They're already there. We've just extended the show. By the way, we're basically spending the money on their tires because it's $1,000 to start.
Mm-hmm.
It's $4,000 to win it.
Nice.
And it's, it's really not expanding that schedule a whole lot, other than making it a bigger event, which I understand that's a component to it as well.
Yeah.
When you have I always say, if you have chocolate cake for breakfast, it's not every day, it's not a treat anymore. So
that's
breakfast. Right. So if every event is 150 laps every weekend, everywhere, then it just becomes the norm.
Yeah.
So, we also have to remember this is year one, and it's, let's see where we can go from here.
Get it off the ground first, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Me and Wayne have said to multiple people that, this isn't a one and done deal. This is, we're in this for the long haul to make it work. We're in it to have fun. We're in it to make it fair for everybody. And we're in it to make it a show for the fans. And, one component of that is we're going to be having the choose rule for lineups under caution. That's a controversial one that some people like or don't like.
Yep.
Some tracks, depending on the day, 660 can be a bottom feed track, and then it could be an outside groove track.
Yep.
Petty Raceway is kind of the same way. Depending on the day, the way the weather is, it could be one lane versus the other.
Yep.
And in Oyster Bed in PEI, I believe it's an outside groove in 1 and 2 and an inside groove in 3 and 4. So where the heck do you go there?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
So it should make things fun and exciting. Other little fun programs like every week, once you get to round 2, the points leader will have fluorescent yellow tape on their spoiler across their windshield. And if they let me put it across the bottom of their valence, that's great. Just to signal to the fans, that's, the points leader.
That's your points leader. Yep.
Sometimes that visibility is needed with stuff like that. So we're going to try to do some fun, different things along those lines.
If they keep it tuned to Race Time Radio, they'll know who the point leader is each and every time. Final question for you tonight, Brent, because we're getting up on the clock here. And I know you can't speak for Wayne or for Robbie out on the island, but in discussions, have those other guys said, this is going to do it. I'm not going to take a Pro Stock Tour race in 2023? Or are those guys still going, we're doing this, but I'm still going to be part of the tour?
That's an excellent question, and one that you're not the first person, won't be the last to ask. I really can't speak a whole lot for those guys. I do know that they're speaking to the tour, and for the most part, I know that the tour is probably going to go back to both those tracks. I do know that also I've been speaking to the tour.
Yeah.
I got a meeting with them here next week, week or two from now. So, it's not like we're saying go away.
Right.
As I said, the door has always been open for the tour to come back to 660 for whenever they want. if anything, this has kind of pushed the ball in the direction of them wanting to come back a little bit more.
Gotta love
So,
it.
you know, it's not been for a lack of trying. My phone's got a lot of miles on it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know, like I said, I got a meeting with them, and I'd love for them to come back to 660 and put on a show. You know, I think that you'll see them at Oyster Bed, and I think you'll see them at Petty, and then also at Scotia and Riverside as well. So we want them to, you know, exist and have fun, and because there's a lot of history there too. But we also feel that there's a spot for us as well, because it's a little bit more open of a rules package that we can make fair for everybody and everybody have fun, right? So
gotta love it.
It's a lot of excitement behind it.
Good for you guys. Good for you for putting the thinking cap on and moving it down the road for the fan and not trying to disrupt the tour. Like, hats off to you, because it's a great tour. It always has been. I've been in love with it forever, as you know. But I'm going to be in love with 2 series now. 1 tour, 1 series. And Brent Roy, we're going to get you back on lots as we go through the off season here. We'll get some updates from you. Sound good?
Absolutely, yeah. Looking forward to it. Like I said, once I get some stuff done for Speed Weekend, one of the biggest things, I saw the APC Tour schedule come out, and Labor Day weekend is completely off. So I've already started bugging those guys. You know, with literally 0 changes, they bolt our tires on and come race.
660. I've been saying it for years. 660. Yeah. God, I love that event. That's the only one I've been able to take in. Hopefully this year, all that changes. I'd like to come out and cover the whole series. That would be great.
Yeah, well, we certainly love to have you, and we can talk about that a little bit further, and then have you for Speed Weekend as well. I'd love to meet you in person and have you come out. That'd be fantastic. I mean, where else can you go for 3 days of racing, a live band, thousands of people, over 500 campers on site? It just, the place doesn't stop. It's a little mini village for the entire weekend, and it doesn't matter who you are. You can stop at anybody's campfire and have a say, and you usually get handed a beer or 2, whether you want to or not. But it's a lot of fun.
It's that East Coast hospitality, and I'd be able to spend the weekend with my buddy Brad Mann. He lives just up the road.
Yep, he's a multi-track champion at 660. He could show you around the place quite well.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt it. Brad, thanks so much for the time tonight. Thanks for answering all those hard questions. We appreciate it, and I know the listeners do too, bud.
Yeah, no problem. I really appreciate you guys having me on here. We're our next couple things coming along. We'll make sure you guys are included, so we can really get the word out there to the masses.
Sounds awesome, and we will do that. We're going to hit a quick break here on Race Time Radio. When we come back, we're going to talk Rev TV Canada with Mike Garrow. We'll be back.
Come on, wake up, honey.
Thanks.
I got a little money coming my way. We gotta get out of here. Can you find me some cigarettes, little whiskey and beer?
From coast to coast, you're listening to Canada Talks. Now, a flashback in Canadian music history. Here's Eric Alpert.
Tom Cochrane's most famous song, Life is a Highway, was a #1 hit in Canada, and it hit the top 10 in the Billboard charts back in 1992. It was written after Tom's famine relief work overseas took place. He was so taken with what was happening there, he wrote it as a pick-me-up to himself after watching the devastation. That's why he mentioned places in the song like Khyber Pass, along with his hometown of Vancouver.
Canadian sports trivia. Here's Joe Thistle.
During the 2000 NBA All-Star festivities, the Toronto Raptors' Vince Carter exploded to win the dunk contest with a series of moves including a through-the-leg slam. Carter's air show was a defining moment for basketball in Canada, putting the Raptors and the entire country on the map. A championship now in the books, Canada has become a hotbed for NBA talent, and it was Vince Carter flying through the air that started it all.
Canadian sports trivia.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere, doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Tonight's Race Time Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts stores, New Glasgow, Antigonish, and Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. You can count on Napa know-how.
AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
Now, a flashback in Canadian music history. Here's Eric Alper.
Rush holds a special place in our hearts and in the record books. They've sold more than 40 million copies around the world. They have a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Officers of the Order of Canada. And they've released 24 gold records and 14 platinum albums, placing them 5th for the most consecutive gold or platinum studio albums by any rock band.
From the high banks of Daytona, we cover it all. Ooh, that's gonna leave a mark. And now, back to the Joes.
Hey, shake and bake, Cal! Woo! Shake and bake!
Here on Race Time Radio.
That was a fast break, Junior. I don't care what you say. That was a quick one. And I know you are as excited as I am to get our next guest up on the hotline. This guy is responsible for what we all get to see on television, Rev TV Canada. We got the Perez with us. We got Mike Garrow. What's going on, Mikey? How are you, bud?
Good, Joe. Great to see you. And I like the shirt, and thanks for the plug.
Baby, I put this one on. I said, hey, Mikey's coming on. I got to dig this one out and get it on. Yeah. So how are things?
I appreciate it. It's been it's been quite the season, and things will be back at it starting up on January. On the 20th and 21st will be the first 2 races of our 100 live race coverage for the 2023 season for various organizations with the Nitro RX, which is the Travis Pastrada's group, and that's coming from the grounds at Trois Rivières. So unlike the Pinty series in the summertime, it's going to be an interesting layout, and I'm sure Joe Jr. can appreciate that in the winter and what that's going to feel like.
Trois Rivières in the wintertime, I can only imagine how many fenders are going to go flying. It is going to be epic.
I met Travis at Daytona back when he was running in NASCAR.
He's a nut job, isn't he?
He is the nicest guy you'd ever want to meet.
Nice guy, but just a nut job.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a couple screws not tight in there.
100%. Yeah, no, that's what we love about him.
Yeah.
No, he's it is going to be a really cool event. There's so much buzz around this event. The Dumoulins, the history there with LP and JF and their dad and all of the contingent, the Quebec contingent of the Pinty series, but also all the Quebec contingent from all the sports car series and the Micro Cup and the list goes on and on. That there's so much history with Trois Rivières, and this event is going to be something special.
Well, if you haven't got Rev TV Canada yet on your television, you can get it now anywhere. I'm talking satellite, I'm talking Rogers, I don't care who your provider is. Call them. You get Rev TV, and you can have Rev TV on your lineup just like we do here in the Racetime Radio studio and have for a long time. Mike, you got a lot of great programming on there. I love the All North stuff. You guys just keep making it better and better and better. I know we're seeing some reruns now, but this winter is going to be pretty cool. There's still lots to come.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, the response with the North Racing program that we've had this year, we have had quite a few submissions that we were live with a number of series with the RS1s, Joe, that you were involved with as well, with the Area 27 folks. But, we've also got some coverage that we did with Sauble Beach that'll be debuting as a holiday gift in December. And we had stuff from Calgary. We had stuff from the Scotia Speedway as well out east. So it was really nice to see a lot of the grassroots tracks kind of represented in their own way. And again, as I encourage anybody involved with tracks or teams to go to the site, you can find out how to do it. There's no cost to you, the track or the organization. We'll provide the airtime. Rev will do the edit and stuff like that around it. And we'll even give you some commercial inventory. And people say,
wow,
well, what's in it for Rev? Well, really, what's in it for us is you're getting to showcase the racing from those local tracks and showcasing on our national platform. And I think that's it's a positive thing as well for a lot of the drivers, because if they can point out to their other sponsors and say, hey, we're also going to have national coverage because I'm going to be racing on this race, and this race. Maybe that puts a few more bucks in their pocket.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
It's anytime that a driver can say, the utter the words television, when you're talking sponsorship, it definitely increases the value, and when it's a great platform and a solid product and all of those great things, and in the markets where they are, it's not just on TV and it's going to be in Vegas, or it's going to be in Florida. It's going to be in the markets where they're in, across the country, in their country, in their country.
Yeah.
It means the world.
Mike, we did Saskatoon. I forgot we were in Saskatoon this year.
Absolutely.
We've been up in Hythe, Alberta as well, and then with the final, for that location with the Canada 200 that we aired live back in Labor Day weekend. So hopefully that the team out there has secured some new space. I haven't spoke to Daryl Crocker in a little bit of time, but I'm sure him and the whole team out there are quite busy.
Well, and that one would take a little bit of editing, Michael, before you could re-air that. I watched it live. I know I was back and forth with Trevor Siebert as we were watching it live, and I went, don't think we're done with yellows yet. Bam, another one. And we just get that one cleaned up. Bam, another one. What I couldn't believe, Mike, in that live broadcast was the guys were hitting, going back into the pits, and they were fixing the cars and coming back out. So it wasn't like they were knocked out of the race.
You're giving some great insight on that stuff as well, Joe.
Amazing.
And, I think it's just one of those things where, especially, and I've sort of come to learn this, it's sort of the last go of the season, so it's like all out.
Oh, yeah, last go of their season, last go of that racetrack's history. Nobody was going to be denied a lap. They really wanted to be in that show.
Yep, no, it was a pleasure to be a part of it, and we appreciated the opportunity to kind of put that on Rev, and looking forward to kind of next steps in 2023.
Mike, I've scanned through, lots of times and sitting on the couch and I see a race and, whether it be wherever it might be across the U.S. and at the end, it's speed sport, and they have a, the little block at the end. You guys have had, a long-standing relationship. Earlier this week, we see Speed Sport is actually having a channel now in the U.S. Does that change anything to the coverage that we're going to see on Rev? Does it increase because they have a channel now and there's lots more content, or what does that do for the content moving forward with Rev and Speed Sport?
Well, again, we have a great relationship with them. I think if anything, it just kind of further speaks to the, I'll use the word, but I'll say renaissance of motorsports in all various forms. You look here, even in Canada, with the things going on in the development, whether it's up at Oro Station or the Porsche experience that they're building out in Durham, I believe. I think it really speaks to the resurgence of it. And from our perspective, Rev will continue to look at all opportunities when it comes to content from around the world. Obviously, there's some great grassroots stuff from Speed Sport. And then, we found ourselves in a position where we like to really pretty much remain neutral, because we've also worked with the folks at Flow Sport Racing, and we've had some of their content on the channel as well. So I think it kind of behooves us just to kind of continue to look for it. But really what it also comes down to, Joe Jr., is, and this is where we really, I give Ed Canerva on our programming side mad props, is we really try to listen to the viewer, right? Absolutely. And we'll get emails in and people be requesting certain series and stuff. Bottom line is, if we get the request, we'll do what we can. It all comes down to rights. What rights are available for the market that we're in. Mm-hmm. And so I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. We've got some changes that we're making in 2023, but I can assure folks we're going to be still close to that, if not going over the 100 live races mark. But I'm also equally proud of the fact that our team has, and though we're a small team, we also have a lot of diverse programming on the channel too. So if you're into kind of the lifestyle stuff, I know, Joe, you've had Todd Lewis on a number of times, and the Rev culture is coming along great. I know he's working on a latest episode, which will be kind of a whole interview series that he's been doing with all the various champions of the 2022 season. So that'll be kind of rolling out, I think, next week, but I'm sure there'll be posts by Ed and Todd on it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I look at things like, Barn Find Hunters from Haggerty's Insurance that we've got on the channel.
That's a cool show.
It's a great show. Yeah.
Yes.
Tom Cotter, who's the host. I mean, he, as they say on the promo, he wrote the book when it comes to that. So I think it's giving that kind of diversity, Joe Jr., on the channel for the viewers, and giving a little bit of something for everyone. I feel like we've really, certainly from a two-wheel standpoint, everything from MotoGP to the new World Supercross Series that kicked off, and that'll be starting up again in 2023. We'll have coverage around. And I think, like I said, we listen to what the customers want, and we do our best to see what we can deliver.
Well, you guys are nailing it big time, and we really appreciate it. We're with Mike Garrow. He is the president of Rev TV Canada, and you can get it on your television here in Canada, coast to coast. Mike, are you on anything in the U.S.? Can Rev TV Canada be played down south?
So, not at this point.
At this point.
And I think if I think the Rev brand lends itself to other markets, shall we say? So we're very much looking at a whole bunch of other opportunities, and Rev TV Go could be a go. So we're looking at things very closely.
So stay tuned is the best way to put that. Mike, let's do some contesting. I know you and I discussed it a little bit earlier today. Let's launch that baby.
So I was thinking, obviously, we're in December, we're in the holiday mode and stuff like that, and people are, looking for gifts or, things to re-gift, if you will, and stuff. And we were pretty fortunate with one of our sponsorship partners with WeatherTech. And so I was talking to Joe, and we mentioned this with Race Time Radio. I thought, perfect for the Race Time Radio listeners if they haven't done this just yet. So what we're doing is we're going to be giving away a $250 WeatherTech gift certificate, along with a shirt, not the one Joe's wearing, but your own, and a little Rev TV hat stuff that we'll be sending you in the package. And all you got to do is no cost to enter. All you got to do is just go to revtv.ca, click on our newsletter. It's free to enter. It's great. Ed Canerva does it. It gives you all the heads up on the live races we've got coming up each week on the channel. And what we'll do is we'll do a draw from there. And then, Joe, you can announce it on your, I believe, final show is December 18th?
December 18th. Yep. That's the one. How about that? A $250 gift certificate.
There you go. $250. Keep it for yourself. Re-gift it. It's the holiday time. So
I know.
Am I allowed to enter?
I know what I'd get, Michael. I'd get one of those bloody cup phones. I've been waiting a long time for a cup phone, a WeatherTech cup phone. I think they're the coolest thing. LP Dumoulin's got one in his race car, and you can tell when he fiddles with it because he usually wrecks. Usually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because he's playing with his cup phone.
There's some great stuff, and our two dogs, Wilson and Maddie, love their dog bowl stuff that they've got too. So without getting too into plugging them too much, but they've been a great supporter of Rev as well, and certainly a lot of the coverage we did around the IMSA WeatherTech series. Had a great time up at Canadian Tire Park this summer. Great hospitality from the folks at CTMP. And looking forward to 2023. Yeah,
dynamite stuff. All you got to do is get there and register. What did you ask, Junior? Can I get in?
I said, can I get in on this? Like,
no.
Can I?
You
I'm
got to
gonna
register.
Enter. I'm gonna register as soon as we get off the air here.
So am I.
Yep.
So am I.
Anybody? So whoever registers and on there, send it through. And I'll tell you what, we'll add another little bonus twist here.
Oh, another one.
Little bonus twist, because there are a lot of listeners, Joe, that I know you've sent us that have subscribed to the newsletter that are probably listening going, I already have the newsletter, which is awesome, so thank you.
Yeah.
If you send an email, just an email to info@revtv.ca,
okay,
we'll enter you in as well, even if you've already got the newsletter.
Oh, now isn't that cool? info@revtv.ca.
And we'll enter you in that same contest if you're already a newsletter subscriber. So we'll keep on giving.
You are good. You should be wearing a beard and a hat tonight, buddy.
I wish I had a little more hair, but I do have a bit of a beard going on.
Too much. Well, I know I look forward to it. With the holidays coming up, It's always great spending family time, but I know when Junior and I and Susie and all the other Chisholms get here, we have a great time. But there is time where we break away, and I know when Junior and I break away, first thing we do is we hit what's on television. What's on, and we go, boom, Rev TV, what do we got on? And we've turned it on and seen monster trucks. We've turned it on and seen short track racing. We turned it on and seen IndyCar stuff. We've seen everything on Rev TV. You got it all. You got the whole gamut covered.
We're very much trying to, give a little bit of something to all the different audiences and stuff. And what we're finding too is it's interesting because even this year when we were at the Honda Indy and we had a whole setup in that there, and we brought Tony Sharpless with the mini motorbike or Sonic motorbike school, people were amazed, and they were stopping by, and the program she has for young kids and stuff as well that can get in on the two-wheel action and stuff. There is really a little bit more cross interest than some people might not have assumed, and I've been finding that to be very fascinating as we've kind of got out this year and we're able to meet a lot of people. And we were out in Edmonton with our friends at Wild TV at the Edmonton Snowmobile Festival and ATV thing out there. And we've got obviously ATV shows with Trek at ATV from Ryan Groom and his team out in Eastern Canada. They do a great job with that series. And then obviously we'll have Snowmobile TV that'll be kicking off in 2 weeks time, and then they'll have the 2023 season. So it really is interesting. I think it's one of those things where it kind of brings people together in different ways and different walks of life. And that's one of the really cool parts about interacting with the public and sort of gauging and finding out their own passion and interest.
Well, going off base here a little bit, I know you moved. How did the move go? Are you all set now in the new house, or are you still in transition?
We're in. I'll say we're in, and then thankfully enough, I have Bell 5 here at home, which is 1414 and 1413 on satellite, and Dunjar did an awesome job. So we managed to get in time, and so we were able to do this because I was panicking a little bit with the old cell phone technology, Joe, as you know, earlier today.
So Beck hasn't throttled you yet, saying, "Okay, I'm done with this transition, Michael."
Yes. No, we're feeling really good. So very excited with the new space and kind of using a little bit of the downtime to transition and get into it, because 2023 is going to come very fast, and we're excited to get things kicked off.
Well, it's going to be exciting, and even more exciting now. Thanks for launching the contest here on Race Time Radio. I don't know what else we got to add, bud. You've got her all covered. We got new stuff coming on the channel. Everything seems to be working right, and it's even going to look better as we move down the road.
Absolutely, yeah. No, we've got like I said, we've got a great group. Our good friends that we work that we have our partnership with Pass Mag and Tim Rutledge's team. It's just been amazing, and I feel very fortunate about the position we're in, and looking forward to kind of continuing to entertain people for 2023.
Mike Garrow, thanks so much for the time tonight on Race Time Radio. You have a good one, my friend.
You too, Joe. And Joe Jr., good to connect with you. And please say hi to Sue.
Will absolutely do. She heard you already. Thanks so much. That is Mike Garrow, Rev TV Canada. You got to get the channel, get to their site and subscribe. Got to hit this break, Junior, and then we'll talk on the way back. It's time to get back to the racetracks. For over 30 years, Quick Fire Starters have fueled this sport on and off the track, making lighting your campfire as easy as 1, 2, 3. There's no need for kindling or paper. Just pop your Quick Fire Starter in the pit, add your wood, and presto, you're a pro. Quick Fire Starters. No harmful chemicals, and guaranteed to light your fire every time. Quick Fire Starters, the world's best fire starter.
Rev TV, your motorsports and automotive destination. Watch live races from around the world and right here at home, from 2 wheels to 4 and so much more. Rev TV is your source for motorsports. Rev TV features exclusive race series, up-to-date news coverage, documentaries, how-to programs, and adrenaline-filled lifestyle programs 24/7. Go green with Rev TV. Contact your TV provider to order.
Tonight's Race Time Radio is fueled by AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology.
If you're a Springsteen fan, you just found the promised land. Hear rare interviews and performances. Live concerts.
Is there anybody alive out there?
Celebrity guest DJs.
This is Rob Lowe.
Hey, baby, it's Little Steven here.
And more exclusives when listening to Bruce Springsteen's channel.
Welcome, Bruce Springsteen, to E Street Radio, your home away from home.
Great to be here.
E Street Radio, SiriusXM Channel 20.
Canadian sports trivia. Here's Joe Thistle.
During the 2000 NBA All-Star festivities, the Toronto Raptors' Vince Carter exploded to win the dunk contest with a series of moves including a through-the-leg slam. Carter's air show was a defining moment for basketball in Canada, putting the Raptors and the entire country on the map. A championship now in the books, Canada has become a hotbed for NBA talent, and it was Vince Carter flying through the air that started it all.
Canadian sports trivia.
Men, morning men.
Hi, I'm Evan Cohen. And I'm Mike Babchak.
We were given 30 seconds to describe our show, Morning Men, on Mad Dog Sports Radio. So I'll ask you some questions, and you give me the answers. What do we do for fun?
You go to the diner with your family. Me, I drink and forget I have a family.
Biggest crush?
You, Tom Brady. Me, anyone in yoga pants.
What do we want to do more of?
You, talk about what happened the night before in the world of sports. Me, I would like to do more of my wife. I think we just ran out of time.
Morning Men, 6 to 10 a.m. Eastern, Mad Dog Sports Radio, SiriusXM 82, and the SiriusXM app.
Gentlemen, start your engine.
Welcome back. Race Time Radio.
I think I like it too. I think I like it too.
And welcome back, everybody, to Race Time Radio, all live tonight on SiriusXM Channel 167, Canada Talks. And we're on our YouTube channel at RaceTime Radio TV on YouTube, or you can go the old way and go RaceTimeRadio.com, and you can check us out that way, multiple ways. And then through the week, the PerformanceMotorsportNetwork.com is another viable option where you can listen to RaceTime Radio each and every week, and that is the different ways you can get RaceTime Radio. Junior, we got about 30 seconds, and then I got to throw it back to Toronto for the news update, and we got Gary Elliott coming up on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun catching up with the Iron Man.
It will be for sure. Got a chance to race against him a little bit this year, towards the end of the year over at Flamborough Speedway over at Peterborough. So it'll be fun to talk to him about that. And it'll be good to catch up. He's got lots of news coming out.
He sure does. He's got lots of news coming out, and he's got some die casts that we're going to be talking about. The Iron Man 50 years celebrating. I don't know whether 50 years this year or 50 years next year, but we are going to get clarity on all of it after the news update. It only takes 90 seconds, and then we are back with you absolutely live tonight. We'll have Gary Elliott coming up. We'll also hear from Al Lebert from the Avion Motorsports. So truly coast to coast tonight. We're heading out to BC as well, so you don't want to miss that. And that's what we got to look forward to. Here in hour number 2, we'll throw it back to you in Toronto. Get us up to date, everybody. And then we will come back. And I can say, not only will you hear Gary Elliott, but I'm pretty sure you're going to see him if you're watching on YouTube. Stay with us, everybody.
You're listening to Canada Talks on SiriusXM Channel 167.
RaceTime Radio is brought to you by the Quality Inn, Halifax Airport, the official stay of the RaceTime Radio broadcast crew. Also by APX Racewear, the motorsports leader in custom crew apparel and fire suits. Also by the Wooden Door Bistro.
Got Chase Elliott. He gets turned into the outside wall. Holy cow!
The thrill of the race.
He's way sideways.
Definitely sliding into it, out of control.
It's unbelievable how quickly things can change in racing.
You just never know how it's going to play out.
Insider access to the drivers.
We'll roll with it. We're enjoying it. We'll collect as many trophies as we can.
All right, let's go finish this thing, baby.
The new normal. Better figure it out.
SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90.
Thank you. You are the man.
We're back with hour number 2 of Race Time Radio. With the two Joes here on Race Time Radio on SiriusXM 167, where Canada talks.
And we are back with you live tonight on Race Time Radio. Just about set to bring Gary Elliott up. He's working on his camera. We can see him. Let's see if we can hear him. Oh, Iron Man, what are you doing? I can see ya. You're just working away at it, aren't you? Oh, now I got a video of somebody playing with a pig. Too funny. I'll switch back over and see if I can get Gary up on here. Nope, that ain't going to work. I'm going to hang up and call Gary back. That's what I'm going to do. Junior, whereabouts did you catch up with the Iron Man?
I caught up with him at Flamborough Speedway for the final installment of the Oktoberfest for the Grisdale Triple Crown. He raced there, and then as well at Peterborough Autumn Colors.
Peterborough Autumn Colors.
Yeah, made the long trip over, got a couple of races in, and got the chance to see the Quaker State number 36, and yeah, it was definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, awesome stuff. We do see Gary back up on our video. Hopefully he stays right where he's at, and we'll bring him up on the hotline. What's going on, Gary? We can see you. We can hear you, buddy. How are you?
The sound button, but the tape. Turn your sound up first.
He's still working on technical stuff. That's okay. He's working on it, and then we'll get Gary Elliott up here. He had a decent year right on that east coast of Canada. He was, of course, in the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour. He did a fine job this year. He had a couple of really, really good finishes. Junior?
It was that you were throwing it to me.
I was throwing it.
I thought you were throwing it to. I thought you were throwing it to Gary.
I'm trying to get.
I'm watching on here. I'm watching on my phone here, so I could see Gary's face. So I thought you were throwing it to Gary. I'm extremely sorry about that.
Gary, can you hear us now?
Well, barely.
Just barely. Just barely.
We'll yell at you.
Oh, now we see. I can't remember the name of the dog. Doodles. Buttons, that's it. We see buttons on the screen. Tell you what, Gary, I'm going to get Susie to give you a quick dial-up. There you are. Well, maybe we don't have to dial. Yep, maybe we can still watch on here. Turn that camera sideways, and we should be all set. There we go. We're getting the Iron Man. We're getting it all figured out. We can see the car in the background, and we can see you, Gary. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can hear you just fine, So I see the Quaker State 36 in the background there. What, do you got it all blown apart, ready to strip it down and get it ready for another season?
Actually, what you're seeing there is us putting it back together. So we're actually reassembling it.
Oh, so you guys are way ahead of the curve.
Oh, yeah. We had the engine out. We had the driveline out. We've put all new brake pads on it, repacked all the wheel bearings, fixed the things that need to be repaired. We're just putting a brand new body on it now.
Gotta love it, Gary. Is this going to be, was this your 50th year this year, or is actually the 2023 season going to be the official 50th year?
So next year, 2023, will be the 50th year for me in Quaker State.
Gotcha.
It'll be my 55th.
Yeah, I thought 50 was a while ago. I did, but then I went, hold on a second. I know we're celebrating 50 with something. Maybe I'm all, sort of mixed up in my mind. I thought you had a lot more years in. 55 years, Gary Elliott. That is amazing.
Thank you very much. And you know what? I had a few people trying to tell me that I should retire maybe in a couple of years. So, because 2024 will be 50 full seasons with Quaker State. So I'll see how long I can get them to stay with me. But if they can stay with me for 2 or 3 more years, but then Bill Zard will come along, and so you know what, 80 looks pretty good.
Oh, and you're not, Gary, you could do it. Billy Z got back into that car this year, and he did fantastic behind the wheel. You know what, Gary Elliott, I can't see you slowing down anytime soon.
Well, you know what, about 6 years ago, just before my 50th anniversary, 2018, so around 2017, people were saying, you know what, so maybe this would be a good time. And when I thought about that, after they said that, like, you know, I was pondering it over the next couple of months, and I started to cry. I said, no, I can't. I love this sport. And it's not about winning. It's about racing. And it's not about racing. It's about all the people. And I just love being on the racetrack. And I watched the Snowball Derby today, and the 35 cars finished, and somebody finished 35th. So there was only one guy that won.
Exactly. And watching Thorne in that 43 car today, didn't it, when you think back, Gary, didn't it remind you of watching a Junior Hanley super late model race years ago? Everybody was running for second when Junior was on the track. I can remember it distinctively, and I know you will.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just had the field covered. But he's had the field covered for a few years. And I think something like he's the last 3 Snowball Derbies. So that's pretty amazing. So, you know, good for him that he won it. And I'm pretty sure he's pretty emotional about it. Hopefully he got through tech.
Yeah.
Because the guy that won last night didn't.
Oh, yeah?
Or the night before.
Right.
Yeah, one of them didn't make it through, so.
Yeah, and they, you know, tight scrutiny. Yeah, absolutely. They have it at the Snowball Derby, and I believe he made it through no problem. But, Gary, another big thing that's coming up for the 36 camp is you've got a diecast car really on the doorstep, on its way into Canada. Can you tell us about the diecast car? I know it's special, and I know I want one.
Okay, well, let me just move over here.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you're going to ask me about the diecast, but just give me 1 sec. I don't mean to.
Oh.
So I wanted to have a diecast for. Oh yeah, I got my thumb on the screen.
Yeah.
That's
you move your thumb,
smart.
things going to get even.
That's like,
there we go.
Yeah, that's like taking the lead in the race, and instead of the gas pedal, you hit the brake pedal.
You did
it. This is the car. Can you see it all right?
Yeah. It's coming into focus. Yeah, it's coming into focus.
And so that's going to be my paint scheme for next year, and it's also going to be the diecast that we ordered them from Lionel Racing.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to order 50, because of 50 years, and then I thought, maybe I'll try to order 200 because I might have some friends that want one. Well, when Lionel said you need to order 700, you can't just get 200. So we ordered 700, and as of this morning, we've sold 508. So we have just under 200 left.
Well, if you want a piece of Canadian racing history, trust me, race fans, you want one of these diecast cars. And they are easy to get. They are affordable. And all you got to do is contact you, right, Gary?
Yeah, contact me on Facebook or wherever. That's probably the easiest place, and then message me. I'm pretty excited about this because it's the longest driver car sponsorship in racing history. And the closest one to us is Kenny Bernstein with the funny car driver with Budweiser for 33 years.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited, pretty proud, because I said to somebody the other day, I'm like the guy that's been working in the woods and in the forest for years. And then I come out and take a look back and I didn't realize I made so many tree houses. So I've just been fortunate to, that for good health, I've been blessed. The Lord has blessed me. And Quaker State has stayed with me for so long, and I'm so excited about it. I'm really happy about this year. Then in next year, the year after, it'll be 1974 to 2024. So we'll do something special for 2024 as well. We're going to have hats and hoodies and things like that, of course, for this year. And I'm looking at trying to get at least 20 plus nights in this year, maybe 25. I'd like to.
Wow. That's an ambitious schedule. That's awesome. Gary, we got a chance in leading into this interview, before we got you on the hotline, we got a chance to see you over here in Ontario. Towards the end of the year, you made the trip over and got to run at Flamborough and as well at Peterborough. What was that like coming back over here?
Well, it was fantastic because I got to see a lot of my fans and a lot of friends. Even family came that I haven't seen for 3 years. It was well worth the run. So in 2010, we were pretty fast at Flamborough, our late model. So we had, I think we were like a 15.29. And but the last 5 years racing late models there, I couldn't get below the 4. I couldn't get in the 3s. And so we were the 12th fastest out of the 25 cars in practice. But then I only had one set of tires and I was using them all day.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, J.R. Fitzpatrick said, he sent it to me the next week at Peterborough. He said, Gary, the shocks that you got on your car, you're going to get killed. Because I had shocks that are like $200 each. And my 4 shocks on my car were cheaper than one of the shocks on those guys' cars.
Oh, yeah.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah. Those guys would spend...
We'll be prepared.
These guys would spend $2 or $3 grand a corner. More if you let them.
Yeah, I think, like we were way undershocked. And, but we knew that. I knew that coming in. I just wanted to come back and race. I had a lot of fun. We finished 17th out of 25 at Flamborough, and we finished 12th out of 20 at Peterborough. So... that's pretty good.
Hey, that's
But I was
success.
the first in my age group.
Yeah, you're first in your age group. I bet you doubled the winner by, maybe even triple. Gary, this has been...
Yeah, well, I hope, like if Bill Zardo, I hope he doesn't start racing pro late models, or then I might not be first in my age.
Incredible. Do you think we'll see you back up in Ontario in 2023? Will you plan a trip where you're going to come back this way?
Oh, 100%, because it's going to be a big, it's a show for me. It's kind of going to be a tour with our 50th anniversary paint scheme. So I'm going to try to go as many tracks as I can. Mm-hmm. Remember a few years ago when we were talking about, you were trying to find out who had the most perfect attendance seasons, and then about the most consecutive nights?
Yeah.
So in 2017, we hit 800 consecutive nights. So then COVID kind of hurt me a little bit. Well, hurt everybody.
Right.
But right now, at the end of this year, we have 875. So
Wow.
We're going to try to reach 900 consecutive nights. And then somebody come up to me about a month ago and said, well, why don't you try to get 1,000? I said, They said, well, did you think you'd make 50 years with Quaker State? And that did it.
Yeah.
Holy cow. So I might be trying to go 5 more years at 25 nights a year to reach 1,000 in a row. That would be unbelievable. 1,000 in a row. I'd have to do it. I couldn't do it in this series. I'd probably have to try to do it in another series, like drop down a little bit, run this car as many times as I can, and then maybe run a Sportsman or something like that. But yeah. I'm pretty happy and I'm healthy, and I would love to try that.
I look at Bill Zardo with that hot rod division,
mm-hmm.
And when you look out east, they have the Heart of, what is it called?
Heart of a Champion.
Heart of a Champion with the hot rod style cars, and I look at obviously Bill Zardo, but as well Stompin' Tom.
Mm-hmm.
They're both out there with the hot rod division, but you got the number 6. Oh man, the guy who built them, Bromley, and those guys.
Yep.
There's a pile of talent out there on the racetrack from years gone by.
All guys Gary raced against years ago.
But man, do they put on a show? Like they get after it and they roll up the sleeves and dig. When I look at and like you said, Gary, it is a big undertaking, obviously with pro late model, but that class, here in Ontario, if it does anything like what it has done in Ontario, that division is so cool. And the nostalgia of what those guys are bringing to the racetrack is so cool. I would love to see you have a hot rod style car and be able to come over and race against a guy like Bill Zardo and those types of things, because, man, it is so cool to see. And when they roll out on the racetrack, everybody drops what they're doing and pays attention to it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it sure is.
No, it's absolutely a great series, and the same down here. And I got to hand it to Dave Gainforth for getting that series to go from 8 cars about 4 years ago or 5 years ago up to 30 plus.
Yeah.
And good for him. I know they're going through rumblings, and there's some issues going on with other places going to try to run hot rods. But you know what? Dedicated and loyal drivers will stay with what's working for them. So hopefully it works out good. But what a great series and what a nice concept. And they race and they put on a great show.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've seen the ones down east, and there was, I'm trying to remember now, the 88 car. I think it was the 88. The guy's name just falls out of your head all of a sudden. But they've got a great hot rod series coming. It's really coming along good there. I look forward to seeing them again in 2023. But, hey, we're all looking forward to seeing that Quaker State number 36, too. Those die-cast cars, when do you expect them to hit your shop?
So I think I just got a message from Lionel that I should have them the first week of January, that they should be in my possession by then. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the funds ready so that when they call me, I can pay them right away.
Yes.
And I don't have, because I have to pay for the final third plus shipping, container fee %, duty and taxes or whatever. I'm not sure whether duty and taxes are the same thing.
Yeah.
So some people ordered them for Christmas. So I had these made up. I don't know if you can see this. I might cover up my face, but it's
beautiful.
It says Merry Christmas. This is your present coming soon, or this is your gift coming soon. So I've mailed these out to some people so that they wanted to give them for Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And they won't have the die cast, but they'll have that.
Gary,
that'll be nice for
Gary Elliott, you think of absolutely everything.
I don't know how many I'm going to have. I have to.
Yeah, you do.
I have to, and I love the sport, and I love racing, and I thank you for your support too.
Well, we will definitely support you until the day you retire, and then I'm going to stick a microphone in your face and pull you around with us. I can guarantee it. But Gary, if anybody wants one of those die-casts, they can contact you on Facebook. If anyone has a problem contacting Gary Elliott on Facebook, he is the one out of Nova Scotia. But if you have any trouble contacting Gary for a die-cast, contact me, and I will get you all of his contact information. And you got to get one of those die-casts. Be part of Canadian racing history. 50 years with Quaker State on that race car. If you run Quaker State in your car, that car should mean a ton to you. And the man I know does, Gary Elliott, 55 years behind the wheel, and he's about to do it again in 2023. Gary, we got to thank you for your time here on Race Time Radio. As we always do, we always appreciate having you. And better even yet, we've seen you here tonight. This has been fun.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. I want to thank all my sponsors and my crew. I won't name them all this time, but maybe the next time I'm on, I'd like to name my sponsors but thank you so much for having me, and I appreciate it. And good luck for you guys for the rest of the year. And if I don't hear from you, but I probably will.
Yes.
But Merry Christmas to you and Joe and Sue.
Absolutely. Same to everyone there, Gary. We genuinely appreciate it. You are a Canadian treasure. We're going to hit this break, everybody. When we come back, we're going to go all the way out to BC. We're going to talk RS1 Cup Series with the GM. We got Al Lebert coming up. Stay with us.
She was a girl in a short dress. I was a boy in a charcoal vest. When the winter wind came calling, that engine like a stalling. I was the one who kept waiting.
From coast to coast, you're listening to Canada Talks.
Canadian Sports Trivia. Here's Joe Thistle.
November 24th, 2019, the 107th Grey Cup in Calgary, and Winnipeg's 33-12 defeat of the Hamilton Tiger Cats signaled the end of one of the longest droughts in CFL history. It was the Blue Bombers' first championship since 1990, and for running back Andrew Harris, it was doubly historic as he was named Most Valuable Player and Most Valuable Canadian, a first in Grey Cup lore.
Canadian Sports Trivia.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere. Doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Tonight's Race Time Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, New Glasgow, Antigonish, and Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia. You can count on Napa know-how.
AP Race Fuels, the worldwide leader in race fuel technology. APX Racewear. Look, feel, be epic at epicracewear.ca.
Now, a flashback in Canadian music history. Here's Eric Alper.
Rush holds a special place in our hearts and in the record books. They've sold more than 40 million copies around the world. They have a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Officers of the Order of Canada. And they've released 24 gold records and 14 platinum albums, placing them 5th for the most consecutive gold or platinum studio albums by any rock band.
From the high banks of Daytona, we cover it all. Ooh, that's going to leave a mark. And now, back to the Joes.
Hey, shake and bake, Cal! Woo! Shake and bake!
Here on Race Time Radio.
And welcome back, everybody, to Race Time Radio. So glad you could tune in tonight. I'm going to dial my mic over to the RS1 side because we are going to talk RS1 Cup Series with the GM, and we're looking forward to that. Al is out on Canada's West Coast, maybe not on Canada's West Coast tonight. He could be. I don't know for sure.
He represents the West Coast. So
well, he does.
It doesn't really matter where he's at.
He does represent the West Coast, and he does a really, really, really good job with it. I can see he is up. So what do you say we bring... Whoa, that was kind of crunchy. I should have had the volume down and then hit the button, but we got Mr. Lebert with us right now, the general manager of Avion Motorsports. What's going on tonight there, Al? You're looking just fine in the shop.
Yeah, hey Joe, I'm here in the Ottawa Valley shop in Ontario. I'm a little ways away from our British Columbia shop and, relaxing a little bit tonight and getting ready to resume work on some race cars tomorrow.
Yeah, well, a beautiful looking shop. I take it that is an RS1 Cup car sitting right behind you, correct?
Yeah, this is absolutely a brand new chassis that just showed up here, and, we're getting ready to build some new cars and do some refurbishments, and, this girl right here will be on the track at our opening race next season.
Man, we had an awesome 2022 season, be it, we were at Area 27, went to Penticton Speedway a couple of times, went out to Saskatoon. It was just an incredible season. The question I got for you is, how do you keep in charge of all those cars? Listeners got to realize, and there's competitors listening out there that may not know what RS1 Cup Series racing is all about, but they don't prepare the car. Like the team doesn't do it. You guys take care of everything. It's literally arrive and drive. I don't care where you're from. You arrive at the Speedway, and you literally take your fire suit, put it on, put your helmet on, and you, Al, with your team, have that guy's car ready to go, sitting on pit road. All it needs is a driver at that point, and in they go. How do you guys keep in charge of all those cars? That's got to be a monumental task.
Well, it sure is, Joe. What a lot of people don't understand is, we got a field of, right now, last year, 27 RS1s. And we do everything. The cars, to stop anyone from, cheating and the tech part, keep them all equal, the cars can never leave our possession. So they're always with us. So we do everything from all the repairs, the maintenance, to hauling them to the track, the tires, the fuel, even the hospitality, the ice and the cool suits. And we have coffee and donuts and beverages available, plus run the series. It's quite a task, you know. A lot of, you know, the APC and the Pinties and other series, you look at all the teams, and there's essentially 100 to 150 people at every event. And, you know, my team is somewhere, you know, 15, 18 people that do what everyone else does. And I got one of the best teams in the business. Everybody works hard. You know, right after a race, there's no downtime. It's right in the next morning, unloading the hauler and taking apart any repairs and right to maintenance. And they work pretty hard. There's a lot of midnight nights and back at 6 a.m. So I'm proud to work with the team I have.
Well, even, you know, any general race that you think of, cars go side by side. They usually end up with a minimum of donuts on the side of the car. A little bit of body touching, a little bit of rubbing. That's going to happen in this sport. Sometimes it gets more drastic. Fenders come off. I don't think we've seen anything like we did in the Snowball Derby today, like with Eric Jones, and he lost the back end of the four-car, but it can happen. And when that happens, that's a little more than just a touch-up when it hits the Avion Motorsports shop, right?
Oh, yeah. You know, for most shops, you get back one car, you got to change a nose or a tail or a fender, a little bit of vinyl. Well, there's normally vinyl work on 20-plus cars. And, you know, our drivers are normally pretty good. You know, they have a lot of respect for each other. And, you know, they try to race clean. And, you know, like at Penticton earlier in the year, we had 18 cars run 200 laps, 18 cars finished. We had to replace one body panel. So that was truly amazing for a quarter-mile track. But, you know, sometimes, you know, there is a full moon and things gets a little interesting. So you start getting 8-10 cars and you body panels. It's quite a little bit of program in the shop. And, you know, what a lot of guys don't understand is one of our biggest businesses that's actually the projects is our vinyl department. You know, because every car is wrapped. We don't do paint. And you got that many cars, you know, we got, you know, 1.5 full-time guys just doing vinyl to keep all the cars. You know, we want them to show up the next race looking brand new and really put on a great show with professional. So all the little donuts we talk about, they're all gone and rewrapping. And, you know, so that's quite a little project, keep them all nice and then cleaning them. And it's a little bit like what makes it simple for us is we have a great system. You know, the haulers come in and we load all the haulers, kind of which cars in order that we want to unload them. They come right out of the hauler, we clean them. You know, anyone that needs body repairs go right to the body shop. They start pulling panels off and doing that right away. And then all the other ones start going right through the nut and bolt inspect. So our process, as soon as they're done cleaning, they go on the hoist. And our team checks every nut and bolt, the wheel bearings, the fluids, every part of it, gets it ready for the next race. Then it goes over to the vinyl department. You know, they wrap it. We put 4 brand new stickers, tires on it, and in the hauler it goes ready for the next event. So it's kind of like a little bit of assembly line. And, you know, we start doing, you know, with corporate events, 150 cars a year, you know, you get pretty good at doing, you know, all that process.
Absolutely. Al, you did touch on, you know, one interesting thing is you know, because everything stays in your possession at all times, obviously, you know, as this deal progresses and you know, we're seeing, you know, sponsors now on the side of numerous RS1 cars. You know, I think about the TD Wealth car, right? There's a TD Wealth car. There's
66, yep.
You know, there's branding now. We're getting into, you know, corporate branding from other partners. And I wondered, do you guys have like a show car program? Because I feel like a big part of anybody writing a check to sponsor a race car wants that race car at a show, or they want it at a car show, or they want it at a trade show, or you know, at the golf course because they sponsor this hole. Do you guys have like a show car program, or would you be able to use, you know, one of or your car as a driver for an event like that? Is that something that you guys are into right now, or is that something that you guys have your eye on the ball down the line for if needed type of deal?
Absolutely, that's something we have to do. You know, part of motorsports is, as you all get all the corporate branding, it's important to do all the car shows and all the marketing stuff and the track days with the car. So we actually, as part of our program now, you know, it's funny you mentioned the TD Wealth car, but it's actually a on its way to Vancouver as we speak to go for an event this week for TD, and they're doing a little bit of charity deal. So as all our owners, seller sponsors, it's back to the turnkey race program. None of these drivers, need to own a truck or a trailer or have guys to move all this stuff around. Because, any drivers and race team owners listening, we all know how expensive it is to own a truck and a trailer and, get the annual safety and tires and brakes. You save a lot of money alone by us doing that. So if you organize, say, hey, I need, the MNP car or the, MCO car or one of those cars at an event, you schedule it us, we take it down. It's clean. We have it at the event. If you need any crew uniforms or any stuff for your sponsor, we supply that. You do the event, and then if the driver shows up, signs some autographs, leaves, and we take the car back to our shop and make it very simple for that process.
Very cool.
And it's really cool too, I might add. It's a different model. It's a different model than absolutely everybody is used to. When you rent or buy, because you can do either one, an RS1 Cup Series car. That's all you need to do. Soon as you do that, it's your sponsorship that goes on the side of that car. You tell Al and his crew what your car looks like, and they will make that car look exactly like you would like. I know Lee owns the 66 car. Great guy. Heart the size of the car is what Lee has got. It's a beautiful race machine. That's his sponsorship on the side of that car. And these guys do a phenomenal job making it look like that. You guys do a great job with it, Al. When guys come in, is this the time of the year where the phone does go berserk saying, okay, I've looked at the program I want in? Is this the time of the year, or is it still to come?
The phone really starts ringing all year round, let's say. A little bit before events, guys want to do some one-off rentals and stuff. The guys wanting to buy the cars, right now, we all know in the racing industry, we're all trying to sell sponsors and figure out funding and what series. Right now I'm negotiating with 8 to 10 drivers that want to race full-time, new to our series next year. They either want to do rentals or buy cars. We're really close to signing some deals, like hopefully this week. I think there'll be some done. Mm-hmm. A lot of these deals don't finish until like January. Right. The challenge we have is there's not a lot of cars. So, myself with, 2 other people in our shop here, we hand build every brand new car. So it takes about 500 hours to build a car. So we can only build so many in a winter, right?
Right.
So if, once those are sold and then someone comes, too late and says, hey, I want to build a brand new car. Well, there's only so many. So I encourage anyone that wants to join the series and buy a car. We should probably get a deal done pretty quick here before it's too late. And for the rental program, I'm having so much interest. And I think once, very shortly here in the night, you and I reveal our schedule for next year, we're actually going to have a car shortage. I have a lot of guys talking to us about doing one-offs or, 2 or 3 or full seasons. And we only have a couple house cars available, for rent. The few of them we had last year, we've actually recently sold. So
yeah,
there's not a lot of seats available.
It's funny, I know from broadcasting the races, you mention a guy once, he's rented a car, he's rented a ride, he's out there once, and then before you know it, he becomes part of the roster and he's in. After they seem to try it once, that's it, they're hooked, they're in. The concept is so foreign that a lot of people can't believe the formula that you guys have got. And I urge everybody to get to avionmotorsports.com and read it. Read it. If you don't believe what we're telling you, read it. It will truly blow your mind on how little it'll cost for you to go racing a full series, get world-class road course, short track action, multiple tracks, and get all of that experience all under one canopy. And then you can still do whatever you like to do at your home track. You can still do that. Everything will fit, right, Al?
Yes, exactly. The cost thing is what a lot of people don't believe. There's APC series and late models, and even like super stock. Some guys are spending massive budgets, and then, you know, there's a NASCAR series. You know, to rent an RS1 car to do a full deal, like I mean a full championship run, all 6 events, you know, world-class tracks, an oval test day, you know, a road course test day with your own custom wrap, like that's like, it's a $45,000 cost. You know, we're very open with the numbers. You know, a race rental is about $7,500 for a cup. You know, so $45,000 to run a full season, and that includes everything. That includes your everything but damages. Your tires, your fuel, your coffee, breakfast, your race registration. Like, show up with your helmet with a smile, get in the car, go, and then, you know, return. That's, you know, a couple of races and some other series, you know, some ABC stuff. Like, that's a few races, and it's very cost effective. You know, one thing that's really intrigued us, you know, recently with some phone calls is the US market. So with $1, you know, it's $33,000 US to run our full series. And
that's
know,
ridiculous.
that's half of an ARCA race.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, one thing that makes it, you've watched it, a lot of people that have raced this, why they keep coming back, is how tight the competition is with the identical race cars. Like, every car is built the same. They're set up the same. You can't do very few adjustments. There's 3 adjustments you can do. So it's not like you're racing against somebody that has a wallet that's spending $100,000 on shocks, carburetor, you know, cheating up a motor, you know, that kind of stuff. And our pool of talented drivers, you know, we have drivers this year in a race, you know, that run, you know, Formula 2 in Europe. We've had IndyCar drivers, NASCAR. We've had go-kart drivers. You know, we had Jesse Webb come up from the Nissan Cup, GT late models. You have all different forms of drivers all coming together with amazing talent, and they'll run side by side. And, you know, it's a lot of strategy of how your race is going to go, because you have an identical car.
Yeah.
So
if
you're we always say that it's very easy for someone to race with their wallet. You can just start writing checks and you can win races. But when you're running with identical cars, now is when the true driver talent and how your day goes comes out.
Yeah, one set of tires. Everybody gets one set of sneakers, and that's all you get. So you got to conserve. You got to race smart, and always 2 segments to a race. You're not coming out just to run one race. Whenever there's a race on the track, it's 2 races. It's just simply amazing. Al, can we get you to hang around? I got to hit a break, and then we'll come back and continue the conversation about Avion Motorsports. Can you hang with us?
Absolutely. I'll be right here.
Okay, we're going to do that. We'll slide out, take a quick break on Race Time. Last one of the night. More with Lebert when we come back on Race Time Radio, SiriusXM Channel 167, Canada Talks.
Poor pitiful me, roaming through them trees. Won't you help me out in the North Country?
From coast to coast, you're listening to Canada Talks.
RaceTime Radio is brought to you by the Quality Inn, Halifax Airport, the official stay of the RaceTime Radio broadcast crew. Also by the Wooden Door Bistro.
Even though Napa is a nationally known name, nearly all of our stores are built from the ground up by local owners and families. People you might call neighbors will be here, there, and everywhere, doing what neighbors do to keep their communities moving forward. You stop by a Napa Auto Parts store, you can count on Napa know-how.
Now, a flashback in Canadian music history. Here's Eric Alpert.
Tom Cochrane's most famous song, Life is a Highway, was a #1 hit in Canada, and it hit the top 10 in the Billboard charts back in 1992. It was written after Tom's famine relief work overseas took place. He was so taken with what was happening there, he wrote it as a pick-me-up to himself after watching the devastation. That's why he mentioned places in the song like Khyber Pass, along with his hometown of Vancouver.
Canadian sports trivia. Here's Joe Thistle.
During the 2000 NBA All-Star festivities, the Toronto Raptors' Vince Carter exploded to win the dunk contest with a series of moves including a through-the-leg slam. Carter's Air Show was a defining moment for basketball in Canada, putting the Raptors and the entire country on the map. A championship now in the books, Canada has become a hotbed for NBA talent, and it was Vince Carter flying through the air that started it all.
Canadian Sports Trivia.
Tonight's Racetime Radio is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts Stores, Port Hawkesbury, New Glasgow, and Antigonish, Nova Scotia.
Drivers, start your engines!
Welcome back to the track. Live on Racetime Radio, SiriusXM 167.
And just like that, we are back with you, all live right to the top of the hour here on SiriusXM Channel 167. We have Al. Al, I'm going to ask you this one last time. I've asked you 100 times, but I'm going to ask you one last time. Do I pronounce your last name Lebert or Lebert?
Lebert.
Lebert. I'll never forget it now. Lee, I'm going to think of jeans. I'm going to say that is Lebert. I got you now, buddy. And I won't forget it. But we are with Al Lebert at Avion Motorsports. He is the general manager and gearing up for another season out there on Canada's West Coast. You can get involved on either side of the border, really. Al, you touched on it before the break. Americans can save a ton coming up here to race. And Sue, I know you'll throw the schedule up. I can't see the schedule on our page, but it will be up on our YouTube page. I can't see it here, but I know Sue's been putting the schedule up. Very, very nice looking schedule. No one has seen it yet until tonight.
Yeah, actually, it's a great schedule. Very similar to last year. It's been, right now, the first time we reveal it. We'll touch back on April 22nd here at the end of this. So we're going to open our season again June 3rd at Area 27. Then we're going to go back to Sutherland Automotive Speedway in Saskatoon. That was a great race. Our drivers loved it. The fans loved it. From there, we're going to go back to the bull ring at Penticton Speedway, the tight little quarter-mile high bank. It'll be definitely a lot faster, I think, next year with the new asphalt in turn 1 and 2 and the bump on. The lake excavating crew did a great job at trying to get rid of that bump. So the cars will definitely pick up a little speed there. And then we're going to go back to the Speedway on August 19th, and then our championship race here at Area 27, September 16th. So like you touched on before the break, all our races are double headers. So we run twin 12-lap races on the road course and twin 100s on the ovals. So there's actually 10 races in total. But what's unique for us is we actually only count your best 8 finishes towards a championship. So everyone gets 2 throwaway races, which keeps the championship really tight.
Oh, yeah.
And, that really is something we started this year because we understand how life events happen. There's ever a wedding or there's something where a driver just can't make a race. So it's not fair to them to own a car and do all this, and they lose a championship for one race. So that could be their 2 throwaways. Or, let's say something goes wrong and, you have a flat tire or you have a lap car in your way. And, it's so to keep it really tight for everybody. That's why we do that.
And that's a great idea because sometimes you can have a stinker race. Kind of cool when you can throw it away as one of the 2 that you do get to chuck away. It didn't come into play this year all so much. Riley Siebert, the 09 car, he had a really good year, but he did have his work cut out for him on race number 10. The 24 car was nipping at his bud right there and then ended up having trouble with the 24.
Yeah, right there, Riley actually, he had a great season. He had some issues. He had one of his throwaways, helped him. Sean was right there at that race. And, back to even Jesse Webb, that first race number 9. Jesse led the whole race. Riley could not pass Jesse. Jesse was a faster car. Riley was really working him. And, Riley, I think, actually learned something from Andrew Ranger last year where if you can't pass him, use up his mirror. And, Riley I was watching him from timing and scoring, and for the last couple laps, he would be on, Jesse's inside and outside. And Jesse was so busy looking in the rearview mirror that he had a little bit of a driver oops, and Riley got around him at the last corner. But, Riley had his work cut out for him that weekend, and he was focused and did what he had to do.
I'd hazard to say if Jesse Webb didn't miss that shift, Jesse would have won that race. I just have that feeling. If the caution didn't come out, Jesse could have won that race. There's always, you can play the if game all day, but talk about some exciting racing. I guarantee you, RS1 Cup Series racing has got excitement like built right in. I haven't seen cars lumped together like that since I've seen them at Daytona.
Oh, I agree. We're going to get on something here on April 22nd in a minute that nobody knows except Trevor and myself. And one cool factor with the RS1s, whether it's on the road course or on the ovals, I always call it, super speedway racing on a short track, because the cars are very light. They handle really good, as you've seen on the ovals. They can run side by side, lap after lap, and because they're so identical, it can look like Daytona at Penticton Speedway or even Area 27. So they really keeps them tight together. It's great for the fans, So something really cool we're excited about here, which Area 27, we're going to probably see the tightest racing we've ever seen. Our biggest challenge, Trevor and I have is budgets.
Right.
A little history is myself and Trevor spent a lot of personal money racing in the last 20 years. And we designed this whole series to be affordable. And some of our drivers are racers. They would run, 15 races if we let them. But a lot of guys come in because it's, 5 races. It's affordable. We can do that cost. And if we start adding races, we're going to lose guys because it's just be out of their budget. If you own a car, you can run the whole series somewhere, 20 to 22,000. That's including brakes and oil change and everything. But we had a lot of demand, people wanting another road course or more races. But we also have some oval guys that they don't want to do more road racing. So what we decided to do is add a 6th event for all the guys that want it. So April 22nd, we're doing this cool event called the RS1 Preseason Thunder. And it's going to be at Area 27. And we're going to do a triple header. We're going to I can't let all the details go, but I'll give you guys some teasers. So we're going to be running the Cup and Challenge guys together. We're going to be doing 3 races. But this is where the cool part is. Our second race in the middle, we're actually going to do 20 laps on the Area 27 short track.
The short track. I've never even heard of this.
Well, exactly. So we've been talking about this for a couple years. Riley and I talked about, Sean and I have talked about it. So at Area 27, when you come out of turn 1 and get on the back straightaway, you just start going down the back straightaway to what they call the bypass. So you're about a third down the front straightaway. Then there's the bypass. So you're going to make a hard left-hander, go up the hill. It's almost like a hairpin, right in the hairpin on turn 12. So there's really not too many straightaways other than turn 12 and 13, and then basically turn, on the front straightaway, but they're relatively short. So we truly believe the field is going to be really tight, compact. The fans, anywhere a fan stands, they'll be able to see the whole race on the road course. There's not an inch of that track you can't see of the short course. And it's going to be something cool and unique because, I envision some of our drivers on the restart, you're going in turn 1 to, 26 cars or however we have, you go on the back straightaway. Well, instead of going straight down for, almost over half a mile, you're going to be getting right on the brakes and making a hairpin again. So that's something that we're pretty excited to do. So the first race will be on the long track. Then we're going to do the second one on the short track. And then the third one will be back on the long track.
Oh, that's cool. And that isn't going to be, that's a non-points paying event. That's not one that you're throwing away. That doesn't count. This is called Preseason Thunder. So it's going to be wide open.
Exactly. So it's no points. It won't affect the championship. If I've got a couple drivers in line that I think are probably just going to come run that one because it's, the triple header will be fun. We got some more exciting twists in there that we're going to make the format even a little bit cooler. We'll get back to that maybe in a few weeks. And there's going to be a preseason Thunder champion. So we're going to basically take all the points from all 3 races and put them together. And we're going to, working with some sponsors to try to come up with a sponsor for that race. And it'll be, a very fun, unique race. And, it's also going to give the guys, an opportunity that are running for the championship that instead of going to do a practice day in the spring and just going to do lapping by yourself, you might as well come and run the preseason Thunder and get a whole bunch of racing in as practice.
Oh, man, on a tight track, Junior, this guy's going to have his work cut out. Put the cars all back together. I can see it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I'm a traditionalist when it comes time for road course racing. And I think back to, I guess it was 2016, and I heard that they were going to do the short course at ICAR. And I was like, you can't get shorter than ICAR.
No.
Like, ICAR is short.
Yeah.
Like, I'd been to ICAR, and it's, 14 turns, and, there's no big, long straightaways there if you do the big track.
Right.
And, like, the full circuit. And, they explained that they were going to do the short course, and it's only 7 turns. And, it's only, I believe it's like 1.1 kilometers. So it's really small when in comparison to a normal road course.
Yeah.
Very tiny. And I was like, how is this going to work? When they said that was going to be it. By far my favorite road course race now is the ICAR short course. It is phenomenal to watch. And, I think that, judging by the sounds of it, I have not seen the layout for the short course at Area 27. But, it has all the same nuances. It's, it's a short course. It's
when you look at the full Area 27,
exactly.
it's over 4 miles.
Exactly. It's a sprawling big road course. So,
elevation change, everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
But, Al, you guys are definitely on the right track, and that's something that will be very exciting. And talk about a switch up. You talk about two different style road course races on the same weekend. It's not just like running the boot at Watkins Glen or it's not like changing it up a little bit. Like it's a completely different animal. It's definitely going to lend itself differently to different driving styles, and you'll have to be good at both in order to come out with that championship. So that'll add an extra nuance. I look at the ISOC series in the snowcross world,
right?
And they do something completely different. And you and I used to get really excited when we did the snowcross show.
Oh yeah,
the ISOC series to kick off their year, they did the Dominator.
Yep.
Remember the Dominator?
Yep. This guy against that guy.
Yep. It was 1-on-1, and it was something different. It's not rack 'em and race. It's just head to head. Winner advances, and the second place guy is gone.
Yeah.
And that was something that was completely different. I love when somebody takes a chance and does something different, and that's what you guys are doing. Hats off to you, Al. That's exciting.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Joe. We're we're trying to do a whole bunch of different things, and we get some excitement, and we definitely have some different ideas for the future, even after this one. But we just think it's be something unique and fun.
Oh, and it will be. Has anyone seen the short track layout yet for Area 27? Have you mapped that out and showed anybody? Has anybody ever ran it out?
So it's kind of there because the bypass. We actually use the short track on all our caution laps during a race there, but I don't believe anyone's ever done a lap ever on it. So I'm not sure. I'm not at Area 27 all the time, but I've talked to them and I don't believe so. So we're going to be for sure the first one ever to race it. The practice in the morning will be a little bit unique because we're going to have like a 20-minute practice session on the big track and then a 20-minute practice session on the short track, go qualifying and away we go. So it's going to almost be like you're racing 2 tracks in the same day.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. Get ready. Your horn's going to ring. There'll be guys wanting to rent a car for that day.
Oh, absolutely. I truly believe that, I give it till Friday and I won't have a seat available for that race. I bet there'll be a lot of Area 27 members and, they got their, their GT core classes and other, radicals that race there. And some of these guys, the preseason stuff are going to be like, we got to jump on board on this.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Al, this has been great catching up with you tonight. You got any other tidbits? I'm getting really close to the top of the hour, and we got to throw it back to SiriusXM. What ground haven't we covered here that we are missing on? Are we missing anything?
No, I think we've covered most. We've covered a lot tonight. I think there's not much left to cover. I'm sure you and I will be back doing this in the new year again right here.
That would be awesome. When are you going to start bolting that baby together?
Oh, this baby will be starting to get bolted together tomorrow. So by the time we get back together here at some point January, February, this will definitely look like a race car.
Well, and I've watched videos of you, Al, before in the building process. You do a good job of keeping people up to date at avionmotorsports.com.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. 2 years ago, we did the full 20-episode weekly video, the build. We had a lot of fun doing that, a lot of explanation of the whole process. We're not shy to explain how the car works and how the parts, and we're not trying to hide anything. We, what it does do is show how actually cheap and simple the car is. I don't mean cheap on like, a cheap Chinese part. What I mean is, all the calipers and the brakes and everything to keep the maintenance costs down. It's a very budget built car. We designed it to be extremely racy, handle well, stock well. So as we do all the explanation, racers and non-racers get to see how we do it and what we use.
And they're a good, safe car. That's what I love. When I took a look at all the safety aspects of it, I just went, man, there's been a lot of thought put into these race cars. And I know that all spawns from you and Trevor with these machines. You guys are doing an amazing job, my friend.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Trevor and I, Mike McCall actually really helped us in the design process, and Riley had some input. And we wanted to make, an extremely safe car. Unfortunately, racing incidents happen. The safety of this car has been tested. We've had some of them hit the wall well over 100 mile an hour. And, there's been no injuries. All the crushed stones have been happened. So, we're very satisfied with the safety of this car and how that all worked out.
Well, hats off and touch wood. We're going to keep everybody safe. Can't wait to find out what 2023 all looks like. I know we'll get you back on in the new year, but for now we're going to have to leave it here. Got to wish you and yours a Merry Christmas, and I know we look forward to catching up with you in the brand new year, Mr. Al.
All right, well, you have a Merry Christmas, and we'll catch up in the new year, and I'm sure I'll have a lot more stuff to reveal by then.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for the time tonight. That's Al Lebert at Avion Motorsports. You can check it out. You want to get into an RS1 Cup car, that is where you got to do it. And watch Rev TV Canada. I know there's still more coming out, Junior, that we're going to be able to see from these RS1 Cup Series cars.
Absolutely. There's lots more coming down the pipe, and what a show lineup tonight. There was lots of information. Just hats off to all of our guests, and thanks for tuning in, everybody. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. I don't know where we're going to go next week, but I know we will be drawing in on probably the guys that participated in the Snowball Derby. The number 22 car, he did really good. He did really good. Kyle did well. Alex Gwinnett, he did a great job. Felt bad for the 0 car of Glenn Stiers. Man, the guy had a fire. He had lots of trouble with the car this time. Didn't have the speed, but he'd be an interesting chat. I know he would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And as well, of course, Cole Butcher coming home with the top 5. Jared Butcher, doing well. He did well, for what he had, and just a great showing. A lot of fun to watch, and hats off to everybody.
You want to believe it. It's been a great night, everybody. Sure hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, get to Rev TV and fill out that subscription for the newsletter. $250 gift certificate for WeatherTech. That's pretty cool. Plus, you're going to get a Rev TV hat. Mike was generous tonight. We got to make sure everybody goes and signs up.
Santa Garrow.
Yeah. That's a good name for Michael. Yeah. Got a great television channel, and I know we are proud to be part of Rev TV Canada. But that is going to do it for us tonight in the Racetime Radio studio. Happy to say all of our guests were done by video tonight. That was the first attempt that we did the whole night by video. And for all intents and purposes, I think we pulled it off. Got to thank Sue here in the Racetime Radio studio. Got to thank Scotty back in Toronto. Got to thank you, Junior, for jumping in here. And, of course, all of you for tuning into Racetime Radio. You're the reason we do this. If it wasn't for you, there'd be no Racetime Radio. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel if you happen to pop in and enjoy the show. We surely do appreciate it. But that does it for us tonight in the Racetime Radio studio. We're back next Sunday on YouTube only. No SiriusXM. We're preempted. So we're back on YouTube. So join us there. That does it for us. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Race Time Radio. Visit us on the web at www.racetimeradio.com. We hope you'll join us again next time for more Race Time Radio.
Come on now, dig.
Exclusively on your home for the hardcore race fan.
Excellent, buddy, excellent.